I guess what I'm doing now more and more is just thinking out loud what I would have thought in my own head and just working through it, but with voice. And in some ways, the plan is for this to be um, brought back to me through listening to my own voice while I'm doing other things like creating art. So I'm just creating a feedback loop for myself. And I guess it doesn't matter what thought comes, it's just random. Um, like sleep deprivation, and why does it even matter if you have the ability to choose your own schedule? Probably doesn't as much. You can just choose when to sleep. So I like this idea of just sleeping whenever you want, taking a nap or not taking a nap, and not having any sort of commitment. Just create as much as possible per day. So that's my goal. And then being able to think about, I guess the main thought that I've been having is how can I curate and what should I put out there? What should I keep? But on one spectrum is just even the process, just um, put it all out there, like a Justin TV original thing where you just kind of recording yourself, everything you do, everything you think, putting it out there. Obviously, you still hold back, even probably from yourself, some things you don't want to say because you're scared or just because you might even forget actually. There's something that happens to me all the time. I just forget. I have one thing that I thought was really great and then I just forget it. And it seems so common, right? Like there's so many people that talk about this. Even I remember seeing this guy who was supposed to be the smartest or highest IQ person recorded, which if you care about IQ, I guess, but I guess most people realize IQ is not that important. But anyway, the funniest thing is when he talks about having some grand theory of AI that he forgot or something along these lines. But I think that's just a funny thing that we all have. The Even if that story's not true, I think forgetting is very common. And most people don't want to admit it. Most people want to seem more like they're continuous, consistent thought machine where they just remember everything and they're consistent with their previous things. But I always like people like Tupac or artists that kind of contradict themselves from one song to the next. And one they're praising and being very respectful, and the other one they're being completely chaotic and crazy. I've always liked that. I think that's what most of us are. We're duality. Sometimes we like crazy jokes, fucked up things, and sometimes we like nicer things and just putting out positivity. But I do think that that can become a feedback loop. But anyway, I guess back to the thought about should I be putting everything out there? I should be limiting. I think erring on the side of putting more things out there than not is better, because then you, for one, you don't know what's good and what's bad. Even if you flood the market with a lot of trash, it doesn't really matter. Who cares anyway? Two, eventually, if something like, for me, my startup product or whatever, a company starts to form and actually gains traction, I figure I could always separate that. And if I even want to keep, if I want to keep that as its own thing, and just people who care about that specific thing can subscribe to that, if even anybody cares, right? That's assuming people will care. So it's a pre mature optimization. There's no audience right now. There's nothing. I have zero. I have basically none of these problems. So I should just go with whatever I feel like. Probably safer to just produce more and put more things out there. And it doesn't matter. It's just weird little things. Go with my aesthetic, my judgment. Maybe have a curated version eventually where I pick my favorites, synthesize, even for myself, right? Just go through the things I've created, because I probably create so much trash, and some of them I will actually like, and some people might not like them, but it's just my taste, my own distillation. I like this idea of sometimes you have a lot of disjointed things, that seem like random things, but at the end of the day, you can create like a collection of things just by grouping them and just by maybe doing a little bit of curating, I guess, and just picking the things. And now it's not just a bunch of random drawings, it's like a little photo book or art book, or it's a poetry book or whatever it is. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Or a documentary of photographs. I think this is very exciting to me. This idea of just putting out as much as possible and then curating it into something more concise and narrowed. And it's just your judgment. And I guess one definition of taste and judgment is I don't know if they're the same thing actually. Now that I think about it, I don't really know because I'm just hearing, recently Naval's definition, which is I think something along the lines of judgment is just the ability to, I guess, solve problems, and it's a gut thing, and you kind of refine it as you solve more and more problems. You kind of get a feeling of what works, but it's not the mind that's doing it, it's kind of the gut, is what I'm getting the sense of. If I'm even remember or interpreting correctly his definition. But taste, what is taste? It's just, I guess I'll take maybe a little bit from Rick Rubens and other people. It's just what connects with you, right? Like James Victoria and other designers that I like. That just taste is just what you like. And for me, for example, kind of now having flashbacks or nostalgia about these old school interfaces that were not Apple-esque, where they're minimalistic. I do like minimalistic interfaces, but at the same time, I also really like for example, this application called Trillion and Winamp, where they're just like kind of weirdly shaped. Not even weirdly shaped. I think Winamp was more minimalistic, but it had its own little interface that was separate from the Chrome, not Chrome, but the Windows UI. It had its own little interface completely. It still fit in a rectangle, but it was completely different from other people's. And so I really love these old school, I don't know, 1990s interfaces where they're just weird. Even the spammy or Trojan horse Bunsy Buddy, I think it was called, this little purple monkey thing. It was cool. It's just like this little weird interface, and I always liked odd interfaces and odd things. So maybe I'll make some experiments. Just toys. They don't do anything. They won't. Actually, you can maybe even make a Bunsy Buddy that's really cool with LLMs now. And so I don't even remember what Bunsy Buddy did, but I kind of want to make something like that now, where it's just like a non-uniform interface and old school. Maybe I've been thinking about moving just making some random things where they're useless. They're not practical. Just maybe like a simple typewriting program that does weird stuff when you type, and just maybe little weird characters appear, and it won't be necessarily like a complicated thing, just something simple. Or maybe the maximize and minimize and close out buttons that usually have at the top corner will be at the bottom or the middle of the bottom or the center and the side, the left or the right. I don't know what it will be, but I kind of want to design these weird interfaces and maybe make them interactive. I've always had this notion of making a series of interactive experiences that are experimental, more like art presentations, kind of not necessarily a video game because there's no point to them, there's no goal. They're just experiences of art that are really concise, or not really concise, but they're just uh, not full on games, no purpose to them, just weird things. Basically, little toys more than games.